Many of our residents are in the Generation X and Y categories, and we have also noted many
So I'm
from.
going to pause that and click on the menu here. And this is going to show the various scenes that we have. So there's a meeting with the CEO, there's a meeting with the marketing director. I'm going to jump forward to the meeting with the marketing director, and that's going to be Amit Patel, and we're going to meet with him.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad you'll be helping us improve our online presence. Blake told me she was going to meet with you and give you the high-level details. How did that go?
And then you respond. And he
Sure.
interacts coming back
I'm
at
actually
you.
the one who initiated this project.
So the various scenes are here in the menu, and you can see the various scenes. So we've got a meeting with the CEO, meeting with the marketing director. There's looking at the online presence. And then after all of that is done, and you walk your way through all those various interactions, there is a quiz, there's an assessment at the end. And I will point out that within each scene, when you can see you can replay the scene, that starts at the beginning of the scene. You're not able to replay just that last video snippet. So be aware that that's the case. So you can replay the scene. You've got some controls here. You can jump to the previous scene or jump to the next scene. So we're going to play.
When we looked at the majority of our community,
and we're going to jump to the next scene. And it looks like we've got an email from Amit. And there's that email. And it provides a couple of faux links to website information and social media. So you would then click on those guys and again, glean information and look at the information on the website and look at social media. Ultimately, I'm going to fast forward here to the assessment. You're able to take this assessment as many times as you want. Professor Martinez has decided what the passing threshold is. Professor Martinez, what is passing for this?
Okay, they actually take this after taking it on here, I actually put it onto the Canvas site.
Oh, you got it in Canvas?
Like a quiz. I do.
Okay, so folks, what I would have you do is don't even bother with this. Just do it within Canvas under Professor Martinez's auspices in Canvas.
And they can take it also as many times as they want to, and they get until they get 100.
All right, so take it till you get 100. Awesome. So also within Professor Martinez's Canvas is another instance of the recommendation that the scenario is asking you to do. Ignore doing it here. Please do this in a Word document or Pages. Professor Martinez may have some other thoughts on that, but you're going to want to do that in a written form using Microsoft Word or something else. And Professor Martinez, you want to chime in there?
Yes. What you're going to do is you're going to answer this, you're going to follow these directions, except you're going to do it on a Word. It has to be a Word doc because I can't grade anything else. And you're going to then upload it to the spot on the assignment part of Canvas. So this part about putting it on their email, I don't want that at all. We're going to do it APA correct on a Word doc uploaded to the assignment page.
There you go. So a couple of other things for you all. Also in the menu is help and FAQs. There's also a transcript. The transcript, hopefully you're going to see that, is a PDF that tells you all the players and all the scenes and gives you the ability to read the text if you want to read along with things, or if you want to go back and see what was said. You don't have to write it all down. It is all written down there for you.
Should we be seeing it now? Did you click on it, or
I did. Yeah, I
yeah,
have
we're
to
not
do a new
seeing it.
share. Zoom is killing me.
I understand.
What happened to just showing the darn screen?
Okay, we got it now.
There we go. So here is that PDF for staying relevant.
This is also good if you're like at a airport or in a, in the library or something. You do not want to have that, the voices and stuff. You can read it.
Right. And some folks may want to print it out and read along with it. Your mileage may vary. So help in FAQs. We're going to have to reshare that guy again. And this is what that looks like.
And we're not seeing it.
Oops. Share. It's going to kill me. I just added 10 minutes to all of my demos. So here's the support portal. You can sign in. There are a bunch of solutions that are available there as well.
So y'all are using
Forms.
Toolwire support out. I thought it was done through JB Learning now.
Well, the scenario support is through the Toolwire support because it's their piece. When next term, Professor Martinez, we hope to have things in a pure JBL form, but
Okay.
that's a conversation for another day.
Okay.
That's for later.
Okay.
Questions, everybody?
Okay, folks, this is y'all's opportunity. If you have questions about getting into the program, okay, Jenny, what you got?
I was just wondering, like, in general, like, how long in total of, like, how much time I should allocate for this, like, assignment?
That's a really good question. It really will depend a great deal on how quickly and how well you take notes and assimilate the information. The walking through the scenario is about a 20 to 25 minute experience, depending on whether you want to go back and re-listen to what Blake had to say about this or what Meet had to do with that. So it's about 20 to 25 minutes. The writing piece, I'm not going to tell you how long that's going to take.
Okay.
That's going to be your own individual production.
Sorry, and then for like the I saw that there's like 4 episodes, so the Navigate 2 is like we go through each episode, all 4?
One at a time. You have
one
one assigned.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have 4 different Thursdays off to do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And the question that has come up with, yeah, Mary, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify. So the assignments that we do through Navigate, they're not going to be turned in through Navigate. We do a Word doc, right?
That's correct.
Word doc. That's correct.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Do the quiz in Canvas and submit your Word doc through Canvas to Professor Martinez.
A number of you that have gone in have said that you wanted a course number, but I don't use that Navigate or that site for anything else. So when it asks you for a course ID, click through it.
Yeah, just use the open enrollment.
Yeah. Okay. Mary, do you have another question, or is your hand just still up?
No, it's just still up. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Anybody else? We got a captive audience here now with Steve. So let's. Any other questions? Because most of them I won't be able to answer. Well, Stephen, they're either
terrific,
not awake, or you did a super job.
Well, 15, 20 minutes. Vincent, what do you got?
Yeah, hello. For the scenario, so we just walk through it in terms of like learning about the scenes and then taking notes, and then afterwards we just, if we have anything that we miss, is the transcript anything that we can look at afterwards?
You can certainly look at the transcript whenever as you see fit.
Okay.
And it's not, this is not a, this is a writing exercise, not a note-taking exercise, if you will. The assignment here with this one, for example, is to write a short proposal of 250 to 500 words to Amit Patel. So you're going to want to, this is the work, not a matter of can you take good notes. You want to be creative and come up with good suggestions for Bright Road social media presence.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I saw a question about the platform. Inez, I'm not sure what platform you're talking about.
Hi, sorry, I'm sick. I don't know if you can hear me. It's just because every time I try using the link, like to get onto Navigate, it's giving me the 404 error.
Stephen, you got any kind of help for that?
I don't. Can you share your screen?
I don't have access to it to like share my screen just because my computer doesn't let me, but I think I figured it out. I'm gonna just try to rewrite the URL, but it's okay.
Okay, well, let us know. Okay, Sandra, your hand was up.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my voice, but I was just gonna ask, when you mentioned that we had to like keep going until we get 100%, do you mean for Navigate or Canvas quizzes?
No, just on Canvas, the Navigate quiz is on Canvas. And when you take the Navigate quiz only, not the other quizzes, you can keep taking it over and over until you get 100.
So
Okay,
do
so
do so in Canvas. Then Canvas will capture your grade.
Yeah, you don't have to do it on this site.
Don't do it in Toolwire.
So does that mean when we're answering, we're picking like a different answer for Navigate, those don't count? Or...
Okay, like the one that you can take the one on here also, but the one that's going to count is the one that you take on the Canvas website. And when you go through it, let's say you get a 9 out of 10, I think it'll show you which one you got wrong, and you just go back and think about it and see and then just answer the other ones the same way and change your answer on the one you got wrong.
Okay.
Make sense?
Thank you.
Okay, I see a hand up for iPhone 3, but I don't see a name, so.
Well, that's me. I'm sorry. I thought I changed my name.
Oh.
No worries.
When we were doing the writing part of the assignment, did you want us to format it like an email or just like a regular essay form?
It needs to be like a letter, like a
memo.
Formal business letter. Okay.
Thank you.
Vincent?
Oh, I was about to ask, so you want us to do that in the APA style form of a letter?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I see Rihanna has, it's a social media writing prompt on the syllabus. No, it's just on Navigate, Rihanna. Madison.
Yes.
Get your hand up.
Oh, it's still up? I'm so sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to click my name.
Oh, okay. You were iPhone 3.
Yeah, that's me.
No worries.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. If they continue to have that issue with the fault 404, can they call the Jones Bartlett help?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And do we have that number?
Just pop you over to it. And I'm not even sure what I'm sharing these days, so there is that page.
Okay, let's see. Okay, y'all need to write that number down just in case. 800-832-0034.
Sandra, another question?
Yeah, sorry. Do you know if we're able to just purchase the Navigate without the book? I have a physical copy of it. But if I just wanted to purchase the Navigate 2, how can I do that?
Well, you can go here. I think you are probably we have created a bundle. So this is
I think it's only like $5 difference between the bundle with the digital book and the Navigate.
Yeah.
And I think that we still have that 20% off or 15% off coupon y'all sent me.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Our sales rep has worked with Professor Martinez. You can buy the scenarios separately. I think they are more expensive separately as opposed to bundled with.
Yeah, Sandra, I think that the digital bundle is like about $69, and you can get. Someone told me they were able to use that code I sent out, study, I think 23, and got either 15 or 20% off. I think the scenarios by themselves are about 50 or more. They used to be. So I think you're better off getting the digital book.
I see. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Sandra, contact me later for that code.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephen, I guess y'all didn't. We were not able to get a free access to the to it for this semester, correct?
Yeah, we were trying to do a pilot, but that we ran into some logistical pieces on our end.
Okay, all right. Our bookstore actually ran out of the codes for the Navigate and the textbook, and so I've been sending people to y'all's website because I don't know how our bookstore ran out, and I don't know why they can't just download it, but for some reason they have to get physical, things from y'all. I don't know. It makes sense to me. So anyway, any other questions? Are we good?
Does the social media prompt need references?
No, no references. Thank you for asking that, though. It's APA correctly formatted, but I'm not requiring references.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Okay. Stephen, you're wonderful as usual. Thank you so
all.
much.
Have a great term. I appreciate all your time and all the good questions.
And try not to melt out there in the rain.
Exactly. You're in good hands with Professor Martinez. She does a great job.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. Take care, all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Second. Okay, so I'm going to change what I said in there about doing it on a formal letterhead. I changed my mind because I remembered the way I did it last year. You're still going to turn it in on a Word doc, but what you're going to do is write it like a memo, like an APA formatted memo, where you'll have like who it's to, and I think it's Amit, who is the person that's giving you the assignment, who it's from, which would be your name, and then RE, and that would be like what is the memo about. And then you're going to write the memo and look up online how to do an APA memo correctly. You do not need references, but it does have to be in Word and it does have to be memo correct. Any other questions about that? I know that y'all didn't get a chance to talk to him, but if I can't answer your questions, I will get the answers and email them to you. So, any questions?
Hi, Professor. I do.
Okay.
So you're saying no title page, memo format, APA?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you will have access to the video. I forgot the first few minutes of it. So what I'm going to do when I send this out to y'all, I'm going to send you the one from this morning as well as the one from this class. That way you'll see the whole video from this morning. And then you can click into the rest of this class, or however you want to do it. You can watch their class, but you'll have access to both videos, this morning's and tonight. I think I need to find somebody to remind me to hit the record button. I don't know why I have such a block on that at night. Any other questions? Okay, let me give you that phone number again, so y'all need to write this down. They're really good about the helpline. So if you run, because I don't know anything about the technical ins and outs of Navigate, but here's the phone number. It's 800-832-0034, and it's option number 2. 800-832-0034. Okay. Before we go into I have a video to show y'all on market research as an introduction to the chapter. But before we do that, I want to, for those of you that haven't checked your email, you have an extra credit opportunity. Do I have any of my officers in this class? I can't remember, a UPD or student forum?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about it. Tell us about the meeting.
The meeting will
On Friday.
be, yes, on Friday. It will be a board introductions and just introduction to HCASF and UPD and about it.
Okay, thank you. So I sent y'all the link about, I don't know, 15 minutes before class started. So you should have the flyer with the information. I do give extra credit. Every time you go to one of these events that I offer extra credit for, you get 2 points. Sometimes you get as much as 10 to 12, 14 points before the semester's out if you go to everything that I offer up for extra credit. I think it's really important that y'all get involved with these organizations and, you know, the networking that you're going to get that you'll be able to do if you're part of these organizations. And then we have some great speakers that are brought in by the advisory board also. So what I found is that students don't prioritize it unless they get extra credit for it. So I think that, so I give extra credit, and because I want y'all to have that experience. And what you'll do is they have a sign-in sheet. Just be sure you do the sign-in sheet when you go, and I'll be there too. So, you know, I'll see you there. Okay, now I want to just give you a quick spiel first about marketing research. Marketing research is whether you're doing it for healthcare or for Ford 150s or for, you know, a restaurant. Marketing research is the same principles no matter what you're doing it for. So when we look at the different parts, like the video I showed y'all, price, product, place, promotion, that's the same thing you would use no matter what kind of marketing you're doing. This is basically a marketing class with emphasis on healthcare. So when I show you some of these videos that maybe aren't specific to healthcare, but the principles behind it are specific to marketing. So this next video I'm going to show you is just a quick introduction to marketing research. So let me pull that up. Give me just a second. Where? Okay.
Want to start a new business, launch a new offer, or grow your existing business in order to take your sales to the next level, then you need to know what's going on in your market. And that means market research. The problem is that 90% of businesses are doing market research wrong, with the other 10% of businesses not even doing it at all, which leads to ineffective marketing campaigns, bad results, and an overall waste of time and money and energy, sitting there wondering why nothing seems to be working. But I don't blame them. After all, just the term market research sounds confusing and boring and time-consuming and expensive. I mean, can't you just skip the market research part and figure it all out as you go? No. You see, market research is one of the most important elements of any marketing campaign, whether we're talking about social media, or content marketing, or video, or email, or anything at all. But like all things in business and in marketing, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. The wrong way is doing market research using old school and outdated and often incredibly ineffective techniques, like running focus groups, which are often very expensive, hard to get in-depth data from, and are prone to moderator bias. This is where the person running the group either intentionally or inadvertently injects their own opinions and sways the direction of the group based on the questions and how they ask them. So Adam, what do you think of our new drink? Yeah, it's okay, I guess. So let me ask you then, would you rather drink our new drink or be submerged in molten hot lava and burned alive? I'm sorry, what? Surveys are another traditional option, but they require careful wording of the questions and even more careful interpretation of the results back. Simply rephrasing a question from a positive to a negative can completely alter the outcome and the results that you get. Not to mention leading questions like, how awesome is our hardworking customer service team, that can skew the responses before the respondent has even had a chance to think, much less respond. Question order and even the description used to talk about the survey can unconsciously prime a respondent in order to give certain answers depending on how it's worded and how it's presented. And don't even get me started on trying to read through case studies and white papers and research reports, most of which are far too academic and theoretical to actually work in the real world. And even if you do manage to decipher some of the more complicated language, well, many of the results are outdated the second they're published, especially in faster changing industries and markets. If I'm making this sound bad, it's because it is. But the good news is that there is a better way, a faster way, an easier way. You see, there are 3 things you need to know in order for your market research to actually be useful. First, you need to identify who are the kind of people that you want to attract and to sell to. This includes their demographic details, their geographic details, and their psychographic details, so more on that in just a minute. Next, you need to understand and try to clarify what they say they want. This is important because it's going to influence the marketing and the language and the copy that you use in your campaigns. But it's not the whole picture, because the next thing that you need to find out is what they actually buy. As the old saying goes, talk is cheap. So simply asking someone if they would buy something is completely different than putting that thing in front of them and asking them to hand over their wallet or their credit card or their hard-earned cash in order to actually make that sale. And this is why you need to not just look at what people say, but more importantly, what they actually do. Of course, for all of this to work and to make any sense at all, we first need to identify who these people are. So let's start there with a simple market research framework that I've been using for over 10 years now. It always gets the job done. The simple 5-question market research framework I use to help keep me on track is the who, what, when, where, why framework. And to help me remember, I wrote a little market research jingle. Who, what, when, where, why, I ask these questions so my business doesn't die. See, at each stage, I'm asking who is my market. Not just who I think they are, but who are the people that are actually the best fit for my business and offer. If it's a brand new offer, I'll look at my competitors and their ads to see who they're targeting and what their messaging and offers look like. I'll show you how to do this in just a minute. And if I'm launching a new offer to my existing market, then I'll identify the top 20% of my customers and look for similarities in the following 3 categories. First, demographic details like their age and gender and income and occupation and things like that. Next, their geographic details like what city or state or province or country they live in. Then finally, their psychographic details, like what are their values and attitudes and beliefs and lifestyles. Next, I ask what. What are their miracles and their miseries? Their miracles are all of their wants and dreams and goals and desires and everything they're hoping to obtain, and their miseries are all of their fears and frustrations and pains and problems and all the things they're trying to get away from, like dinosaurs. Then I ask when, and this helps keep me focused on my ideal customers. First, I try to see if I can find any life events that may alter or influence their buying decisions. Things like getting married or getting divorced, having a new kid, getting a new job, or moving to a new city. I also try to take a look at what's going on in their day-to-day lives and how this may influence when and where they consume different kinds of content or make buying decisions. For example, someone working a traditional 9-to-5 job has a very different schedule than, say, a stay-at-home parent or a home entrepreneur. And all of these factors need to be considered. Then I ask where, as in where are they present and active, online and offline? Where do they spend their time reading and watching and socializing and engaging? A quick Google search for a term like social media demographics will show you what kind of people are using what social media platforms, which is going to give you a huge advantage over your competitors and will make sure that you're creating content in the right places. After the when, I think of why. And this is where I'll look at the deeper drives and the motivations behind why someone would benefit from my offer, and ask questions like, what are the benefits that they're hoping to get out of this, and why are these benefits important to them in the first place? Now I appreciate this is a lot to think about, especially if this is your first time working through something like this. But it's things like this that really separate the amateurs from the pros and can mean the difference between marketing that connects and marketing that just gets ignored. So now that we've got that covered, next we need to uncover what they say they want, and for that there's no better place to turn than to the search engines. The best way to find out what people say they want is to take a look at what they're actually searching for, and there's no better place to do that than with our trusty old friend Google. And if you're feeling extra ambitious, then a little bit of extra help from Google Ads Keyword Planner goes a long way too. But let's start with Google first. For this example, I wanted to use something completely random and obscure to show you how this market research can work for pretty much just about anything. So I chose sock knitting. As a side note, little did I know how not random and not obscure this niche actually was. Turns out that sock knitting is a pretty big industry, but you'll learn more about that as we go on. So step 1, head over to Google and type in your main keyword. For me, this was obviously sock knitting. And then take a look at all of the auto suggestions that pop up after your main keyword. In this case, I can see that we've got terms like sock knitting machine and pattern and needles and machine for sale and kit and loom and size chart books, antique, things like that. How relevant some of these terms are is obviously going to depend on whether your sock knitting business is more product or service based, but still a pretty good start. And if I find a suggestion that I find particularly relevant, I just have to keep typing to get even more suggestions. For example, if I decide to type in sock knitting pattern, I can see all of the suggestions that Google's offering based on what other people have searched for. Things like patterns for beginners and toe up and PDF and circular needles and all sorts of other things. I have no idea what they mean, but I guess that's the point of market research after all. Now I could click on each of these terms individually in order to find out their overall search volume, but another faster, better, and certainly more thorough way of doing this is to use Google Ads Keyword Planner. So let's do that now. First, log into Google Ads and choose the Keyword Planner, and then click Discover New Keywords. Then just type in your search term. For me again, this is sock knitting, and I've chosen to select the US and Canada as my overall search pool. And then Google hands over a list of over 1,000 different keyword ideas, as well as their search volume and their competition that I can sort through and use to make further decisions. And apparently, I can see what people are searching for, I can see if there are trends and seasonality, I can check the overall competition, and apparently sock knitting is a pretty competitive industry. So that's what people say they want, but more importantly, what do they actually buy? And to find that out, all we need to do is head over to the world's largest online retailer, Amazon. One of the fastest, easiest, and best places to get ideas and relevant data on what people are actually buying is with Amazon. And the process that we're going to do here is going to look pretty similar to what we just did on Google. So the first step is to head over to Amazon, type in your search term, and see what comes up. Now the first thing that you can do is see what Amazon suggests in their autocomplete, which surprisingly looks kind of similar to Google. I mean, we've got terms like sock knitting machine and needles and book and loom and kit and so on. For now though, let's just stick with our main keyword of sock knitting and hit enter. The books and book titles will tell you the topics that people are most interested in. Because a book takes a lot longer to write than a blog post or social media post, the words they use in the title, the subtitle, and the descriptions are typically well thought out and designed to appeal to the target audience. The reviews are another great place to mine for data, looking at what people liked and didn't like about whatever they bought. Lastly, you can't see exactly how many units were sold of anything, but you can try to make a rough guess based on the number of reviews any single listing received. Another thing that you can do, depending on your business, your market, and your industry, is to take a look at your competitors and see what ads they're running. Now, this is going to be trickier for some industries, like sock knitting, than it is for others, like say health and fitness. But it's still important for you to know how to do this, so let me walk you through it now. First, head over to Facebook and type in the name of your industry or even one of your competitors. Now, I'll admit, it did take me a while to find a good knitting example, but I did finally find one for us to take a look at. The Facebook page is called We Are Knitters, and to see their ads, all you need to do is click over to their page, scroll down until you see the section called Page Transparency, and click See All. You can see that they're running ads, so click Go to Ad Library. And then all of their ads will appear before you. And you can do this with any and all of your competitors who are running ads on Facebook or on Instagram. What I like to do here is look through each ad, paying special attention to the ones that appear to show up again and again, as well as the ones that are closer to the bottom of the page, which indicates they've been running for the longest amount of time. In general, it's pretty safe to assume that the longer an ad's been running, the more profitable it is compared to other ads. After all, otherwise why would they continue to be running it? But that's not always the case, so make sure to do a little bit of due diligence. Of course, all of the market research in the world doesn't mean a thing if you don't have a solid marketing strategy to actually go out and apply it all. So to help you with that, I've linked up a video right here with some of my top marketing strategies. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the video. And when you're broad, you're boring, and everybody just ignores you, and you sound like 99% of the other businesses and marketers.
Okay. All right, so that gives you like a really quick and dirty about market research and how important it is to know your market, know your target group. He's calling it who, but basically what that is it's your target group. And a good example of that would be if you're starting a clinic, an obstetric clinic or gynecological clinic or something having to do with, birthing, something like that, then your target market is probably not going to be a nursing home. At least let's hope not. So what happens is if you blast out a lot of information to places like nursing homes, you're not getting your bang for your buck. So you need to be sure that you know your target market and before you even launch yourself into this market research. Okay, so let's look at, let me share again, maybe. All right. So this is a pretty short chapter, and it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to hit the high points. Because this is my morning class only meets today, so I'm not going to hold y'all past 8:15 because that's how long that they met today. And so that'll also give you the time after that to work on your navigate and anything else that you need to work on with the class. I give them that extra time when we have a week like that, so y'all get it also. Okay, so let's look at the marketing research process. There's actually several steps to it. The first thing you have to do is you have to define the problem. If there's not a problem, then there's no kind of research. There's nothing to solve. If any of you ever watch Shark Tank, I love to use that for an example. And on Shark Tank, they'll have some really neat widget, but maybe one of the people will say, well, yeah, that's kind of neat, but what problem does it solve? And if it doesn't solve a problem, it's only going to be a few buyers, it's not going to like go viral. So most of the time when they have a product like that doesn't solve the problem, then, they don't usually get a deal. So what is the problem? And then you have to look, when you have a problem, you want to look at all the stakeholders, in this space. You want to know if everybody thinks it's a problem or what they think of it as a problem. For instance, you would need to, if you were having issues in the emergency room, maybe people were having to wait too long. And so you would ask the people who are working down there, like the doctors, the nurses, the staff, why do you think we're having this issue now that people are having to wait too long? As well as the managers, because, the perspective can be very different. Unfortunately, a lot of times as a manager, you won't be the most loved person in the hospital or in the healthcare center because you're the one that's got to keep the place running. You're the one that's got to be sure that there's money made at the end and not a lot of money lost. So, the clinical people may say, well, we just don't have enough people working. We can't pump these people through fast enough. Whereas the manager might say, well, maybe you're spending too much time with them, or, maybe you aren't being efficient with what you're doing or whatever it happens to be. So you have to really look and define the problem. Another issue is that be sure you're defining the problem and not a symptom of the problem. For instance, if you go down to the emergency room and there's people standing, and there's no seats for them to sit in, and you think, well, the problem is we don't have enough chairs. So you go and you buy some more chairs so everybody has a place to sit. But that's not really the problem. The problem is that the people aren't getting seen quick enough in the emergency room, which is causing a backlog, which is causing the symptom of having, no place to sit. So you have to look, be sure that you're not just trying to solve the symptom, and you're actually solving the actual problem. The next thing that you have to look at is to identify what your research objectives are. If you need to determine the cause of the problem, why are we having this issue? And then another type of research objective would be to attempt to identify new issues or new markets. Where can we get some more business? Maybe if we stayed open longer hours, or maybe if we had like a separate clinic that took cases that were not as dire, cases that were like colds, or, something that didn't have to take up space in the emergency room. What can we do? What kind of issues are there that we can solve? What kind of new markets can we tap into that will help build our clientele? And then you can test a hypothesis. You can say, okay, I think if we do this, then it's going to possibly fix our problem. And you might do a little small test group, and try it out, like a little small pilot group, basically. And then after you've done all these different things, you can predict the forecast where there's going to be a demand for the service. And after you've done your research, you should have a pretty good idea about whether the service is going to be in demand or not. An example of that might be, let's say that you want to open a new orthopedic clinic, and you look all around and you see, oh my, there's one that's been here for 30 years. It's just 2 blocks down the road. Well, is there really a need for that service? Are you going to be able to pull enough business from them? What, is this a good thing for you to invest your pennies in? Or on the other hand, you may say, okay, we have to go 30 miles to get a bone set, or whatever it happens to be. So there's not one within 30 miles. And in Southern California, 30 miles is a lot. 30 miles could be, 4 hours if you're on the 405. So, maybe it is a really good spot to open up an orthopedic clinic. But you can forecast this demand for the service by the research that you've done prior to that. And then you'll have the research design. And we're not going to go a lot into this because we won't be doing that in this class, but you might do that like in a, a more advanced class, or in one of your 400 levels research classes, or, if you go on to graduate school. But right now, I just want you to know the steps, which are, you got to plan the entire study in a research design. Don't just do it a piece at a time, because then you'll end up not getting it all done. So you plan the whole study, and then you specify what data you're going to need, and how you're going to collect that data, and then how are you going to analyze it. And once you analyze it, how are you going to interpret the results? And the final thing you have to decide on, are you going to use primary data, or are you going to use secondary data? I hope that most of you remember from your, I love statistics. That's what my minor is in with my PhD. And I think there's so much fun to play with numbers. But a lot of people don't share my same love of statistics. They don't find it fun at all. But I think it's a lot of fun to play with numbers. So you should remember, though, the difference between primary data and secondary data. And basically, when you think of primary, you think of first. Primary grade, first grade. Primary, the main thing. So primary data, basically, it's just that. It's data you collect yourself. It's not some data that you're using that someone else collected. And primary data can be collected a number of ways. You can, do it by observation. You can do it by interviews. You can do it by sending out surveys. And usually primary data is much more current than other data because you've just done it. You've just taken care of it. However, The downside of that is that it's a lot more money because you have to have money to go out and do these interviews, money to, or send people out to do it for you, money to collect the surveys, and it takes time. It's very time consuming. If you do choose to do primary data, there's two types. There's qualitative and quantitative. Now, so just to help y'all remember the difference, I went to Texas A&M. When I went there, there was very little qualitative study done. The department that I was in felt like if you couldn't quantify it with numbers, it wasn't the kind of data they want to deal with. It's changed now, and people have found that qualitative data is very rich. Qualitative data, you can get so much more out of it. You know, like you're not just looking at numbers. Numbers say yes or no, you know, or like a type scale, whatever it happens to be. It gives you quantitative numbers. It gives you means. It gives you, you know, modes. It gives you all those different things that you can put numerically. Qualitative, on the other hand, you can do interviews, you can do focus groups, and you can actually delve deeper into the data. Because if someone gives you an answer to your question in an interview, you can actually say, can you explain that a little bit more? So it gives you a lot more deep information. However, you can't interview, you know, 100 people usually, unless you've got a lot of money and a lot of time, whereas you can survey 100 people as easily as you can survey 10. So it's more expensive, it's more time consuming to get qualitative data. Now, a lot of researchers have started doing a mixed methods where they do both quantitative and qualitative. They get their numbers and then they go a little deeper and go and interview people and, you know, get some deeper information. Now, my personal opinion, when I used to be the research, I was the statistician for the dissertations for the University of Houston in the Department of Leadership. And I hated qualitative dissertations because they would have 800 or 900 pages. And the reason that they would have those is because you have to document every single thing. And once you, like, if you interview 5 people, everything they said has to be documented. And then in today's world, they have software that you can run, and the software, you upload the 5 interviews, let's say, and the software goes in there and looks for commonalities. And that's how you see, that's how you collect that data. And you can tell, maybe like what the program I was working on was taking English, taking teachers who were taught English as a second language and getting them master's degrees to be administrators. And we looked at successful principals. We looked at, you know, people that had a lot of luck working with diverse populations. And then we uploaded that, and it would go and it would look for what do these people have in common, these successful people. And that's what you can use qualitative for. On the other hand, a quantitative dissertation is about 150 to 200 pages because you don't have to put all that in there. So it was like a 25% of the reading that I had to do. And numbers are much easier to double check than data. It's much easier to be biased in data. You really have to check yourself because sometimes you see things in the data, in the qualitative data that maybe not isn't there. So you have to be very certain that you remain unbiased. Okay, secondary data, it has to do with someone else has already collected that data and it's just out there for you to take. The Census Bureau is a huge big data where you can go in there and you can pull out all kinds of data because they ask all kinds of questions. And so you've got it takes, like I was sent to DC when I was doing this for a week to be trained on how to pull out the data from the Census Bureau. Now, maybe it's gotten easier because that was probably 20 years ago. But it's great data, but you have to get it yourself, but it's already there. You don't have to spend the money going out and collecting it. And there are now companies that will do it for you. They'll say, okay, what do you want from the census data? And you tell them what you're looking for, and they'll go pull it out for you and provide it to you in an Excel worksheet. it all depends on how much money you have to spend. This, of course, is less expensive than doing the primary data yourself, but it still is more expensive than pulling it all out yourself instead of using a company to do it. Do you have any questions? Are we okay? I can't see y'all, so you're gonna have to holler out if you have a question. Okay. All right, this is just a chart from the book and just shows where you can get the different types of data. You can see that the primary data can be both quantitative or qualitative, and the different places you can get it from. And secondary data, you can get it from online, you can get it commercial. When the librarian spoke to us, I don't know if y'all remember, but she had like a page full of data sources that you could use, and you can get it from places like that. So there's all kinds of places that you can get this data to do your research. Some of the qualitative data you can get are like observational data. That's where you watch people. I don't know if any of you remember when you were young in elementary school, maybe even high school, and there would be people that would just appear in the back of your classroom. And a lot of times your teacher would say, well, they're just observing. Well, those people were usually teachers in training, and they were observing behavior and observing the teacher and how she handled the behavior. So there's all kinds of observational types of data that you can collect. Focus groups are when you have smaller groups of people. They can be asynchronous or synchronous, and they come together for, they're picked out for a particular reason. Maybe you're wanting to know about I don't know, assisted living facilities, or whatever it happens to be. But you can have focus groups both virtual and in person, and then they're basically interviews, but with more than one person at once. There may be 10 to 15, sometimes 5, just depends on how many people the interviewer wants to have in there. And then you can have personal interviews, and social media is the most current one. Social media is, there are so many blogs and Twitter and Snapchat and all these different places that are talking about everything, and you can get opinions from them. You can send out surveys on there. Social media, well, I'll give you all an example. Years ago, when you went to the hospital, let's say you had to sit in the emergency room for 8 hours, and then they told you, well, we're just too busy, you have to come back tomorrow. I mean, it happened. And so you stomp out of there furious. And, most people would just go home mad. And by the time they got home, they wouldn't bother to call or complain. Because in those days, you either had to call on the phone, not a cell phone, just a phone, or you had to write a letter, snail mail. So most of the time, nothing happened. But in today's world, if you go stomping out of that emergency room, you're going to be on that cell phone. You're going to be shooting up all kinds of horrible reviews to Yelp and to anybody actually that will listen. So social media has become a really a huge amount of information that you can gather because people are on it all the time. I can give you another example of that as far as the use of phones and cell phones and the ability to do comments quickly. 18-wheelers used to have on the truck, if I'm driving badly, call this number. And, people, okay, let's say an 18-wheeler. And I used to drive one, so I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just telling you that big trucks that cut you off, whether it's on purpose or they just don't see you, it happens. But in the old days, they would have these phone numbers on the back. But they didn't get many calls because by the time you got home, you would have forgotten about it or got busy carrying the groceries in, whatever it happens to be. In today's world, if that phone number was back at that truck and they cut you off, you'd be dialing them right then and there. So they started taking all those phone numbers. You rarely see them on the back of trucks anymore. So technology, cell phones, everything that we're living with today have changed a lot of the ways that people get feedback. Okay, again, this just comes from the book, talking about the different types of data and data collection. Okay, this is talking about the ways to get quantitative data And again, we won't be doing anything this in depth, but this is for your information. Be sure that you read it in the book and look at the PowerPoint. It's pretty straightforward. Experimental is what you've seen on TV, on sci-fi movies, where they perform experiments. They'll have one group that they don't do anything to, and then the other group will be manipulated in some way. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. Experimental is not done that often as far as market research in healthcare. More often you're going to find surveys of different kinds. Questions, anybody? Comments? Nope. We're good? I heard somebody. Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm coming out. Is somebody talking? Because I barely hear you. Yes, no? Maybe maybe my headset's picking up on another radio wave somewhere. Okay, let me pop back up. Huh? We good? Okay. All right. I'll pop back over here. Oh, I guess I lost the sharing. Hang on. Where'd you go? Come on. Okay, and then this is just designing a sample set, and we're not going to go into this. I'm going to stop there because I told you I wouldn't keep you past 8:15. So I'm going to leave that up to y'all to look at. Do I have any questions on what we've covered? I know I went through it kind of fast, but I tried to give you some real life examples so it would make sense. And I'm hoping y'all remember some of it from your basic stat classes. Any questions? All right, I think on the roster I have, Hillary, are you here? Oh, yeah, you are here. When you were showing up a while ago, I guess you popped in and out. And then Christine, are you here? Christine? Okay. All right, so the only person we have out today is Christine. All right. Remember that you've got that assignment in Navigate. If you're having any problems with the software itself, call that number that I gave you. Any other kind of issues that I can help you with, text me, email me, call me. I'm always here for you. It's Navigate due Thursday, Sunday. It's due Sunday.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
The quiz for Navigate, so that won't open up until Thursday. Is that
correct? Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, I guess we did a good job today then. I hope y'all have a great week. Be sure to keep working on your group activity and get your Navigate done. And I will see y'all next Tuesday.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Evelyn, you good? Evelyn, you there?